after. All right,
All
good
right, go
evening
ahead.
and welcome to the March 5th special meeting of the Board of Estimate and Taxation, our continued reviews of the departmental budgets. A housekeeping item before we start for anyone from the general public. There is no public commentary during these budget reviews. There will be the opportunity for full public commentary during our public hearing on March 25th. You are more than welcome to listen to the conversations, but there is no public commentary tonight or during any of the departmental reviews. With that, Madam Clerk, may I get you to call a roll, please?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Mayor Smith,
Here.
Mr. Abrams,
Here?
Mr. Androsco,
Here?
Mr. Consent,
Here.
Mr. Jelleret,
Here.
Mr. Kasimis, Ms. Yang.
Here.
We have 6. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, yeah,
go ahead,
Ed,
Tom.
it was you. Ed, you were asking for the ops spreadsheet,
Yes.
correct? Yeah, all
Yes.
right, it's on its way.
Thank you. All right. Before we begin, and before I turn it over, Tom, to you to lead us through the departmental reviews, Madam Mayor, any opening comments for this evening?
Not really, Ed. We're just all, listening carefully, asking questions, of the departments and, recognizing the challenges that we have. But, we have quite a few to get through. And so let's just get to it.
Absolutely. So, Tom, I will turn it to you to start to lead the conversation.
Okay, tonight we are starting with community services. As we all know, Lamont Daniels, who is now chief of staff, still has a foot in that world as the former chief. But I'm going to share my screen, but we'll turn it over to Lamont to do his intro as I am pulling up that spreadsheet. And I can't quite tell from my selection, so I'm going to guess which spreadsheet it is. So bear with me while it comes up. And I guessed wrong. It looks like it's operations.
That's not us.
Mm.
And Sherelle is trying to log on, so she just text me.
That looks better, right?
Yep. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's shrink it down and go to the total.
Oh, there you are, Sherelle. Sherelle, change your name. It says me.
You want to do an intro, or do you want me to start with the total?
Yeah, well, I like to have some open remarks through you, Chair, if I can, as always. Thank you. So good evening. So I'm here in my former role, a department that is very dear to me. As you all know, I came here as the city's first chief of community services. So I'd like to introduce the team. You all know Deanna Demore, who's our health director. Sherelle Harris, good to see you, Sherelle. You made it. And I would like to introduce for the first time to this board, Keenan McMahon. Keenan is the city's new director of human services, and we are super excited that she's with us. So Keenan has been working diligently with me to become familiar with our budgeting process, and she will be prepared to speak tonight to speak to the items within her division. Just as a reminder, under human services, those divisions or units that I often call them consist of early childhood, fair rent, and of course, human services. And also David Wolichek, who is our division director of youth services, also here. He'll speak to his items. But looking at it and overall, the changes in this year's budget has been spoken to a lot, related to some personal costs across our our divisions, including some contractual adjustments that I'm sure we'll go deeper in, some position adjustments, and some existing staffing levels that we looked at, and we'll definitely be able to speak to that as well as we go through the budget, along with a few targeted reductions, Mr. Choi, that you will see. I'm always working diligently to find where cost savings. So with that, Keenan, welcome. I would like to introduce Keenan. We met earlier, so she's prepared to speak to the human services, and of course, I'll pick up and jump in if there's some historical context that you may have that Keenan may not be able to speak to. But I want City of Norwalk to know that we are in good hands. We're really excited to bring Keenan aboard for our Human Services Director. So thank you.
Thank you, Lamont, and welcome, Keenan.
Thank you very much, Lamont, for the introduction, and good evening, everyone, and Chair Adams and board members Andrasco, Constant, Jelleret, and Yang. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present to the board this evening. As Lamont mentioned, the Human Services Division includes the Early Childhood Program, Fair Rent, Human Services, and Youth Services. And I'd like to highlight a few salient points from our requested FY27 budget. And for purposes of these highlights, I'm excluding the wages and salary line items for the respective categories, since those figures are derived from the contracts. But first, in the Early Childhood Program category, we are requesting a total of $300 increase from the current FY26 budget, and that's across all non-wages and salary line items. For the fair rent category, we are not requesting any increases at all across the non-wages and salary line items. In the human services category, our requested budget is proposing a total decrease of $1,500 across the non-wages and salary line items. I would like to point your attention that this decrease can be seen in the more accurate reclassification of expenses in three specific line items, those being membership and dues, training and education, and IT software. So for comparison, with those three line items, the total budgeted for this current fiscal year is $9,000. And with the reclassification in those three line items for the requested FY27, it's a total of $7,500. And finally, for the youth services category, our requested budget is proposing a total decrease of $3,072 across the non-wages and salary line items. I am happy to answer any questions you may have. As Lamont mentioned, my colleague Dave Walensik, who's our Youth Services Director, is also on the meeting tonight, and he can answer any questions you may have about the Youth Services category too. Thank you for your time.
There are no headcount changes in any of these departments.
Thanks, Jerry.
That's correct. Yep.
Excuse me, relative to headcount, could you please walk through your headcount by each of the groups?
Certainly. So we have a total within the Human Services Division, a total of 18, including myself. And so as far as the category of early childhood, we have one staff member. In fair rent, technically, and Lamont, correct me if I'm wrong, technically right now within that category, it's 2 staff members, but also with the changes that have been made as far as community service department, I know one particular employee, Jasmine Principe, technically she is the executive assistant for the community services department, but her salary and wages are within the fair rent category.
That is correct. And in fair rent, it's one full-time, which is our fair rent coordinator, and a part-time, the ADA coordinator also lives in that budget, Ms. Yang.
Yes, thank you.
And
But
all
just to clarify,
All of the head count is in the line by line detail that was sent out to you. And I know it would require having another document in front of you, but I just want to let you know. So there's no need to write anything down. If you want to refer to something and see what it is, you can go back to the line item detail and see the head count there.
You mean the line item detail, meaning the large budget book?
Yes,
So is that available now for pickup?
it's available online right now.
Okay.
Okay, we need to get that link sent out to the BET. I don't believe it's been cascaded to us yet.
Tom, I think that went out to everybody
Yeah, so
a couple
yeah,
weeks ago.
we sent out the initial one with the line item detail for expenses and revenues that also had headcount in it. And we are just putting the finishing touches on it. I got a draft of it within the last 45 minutes. We'll give it one more once over and it should be ready for distribution tomorrow to the BET team, and we should get some prints out either later Friday afternoon or first thing Monday morning.
For our subsequent meetings going forward, could you please section out each department and put it with the spreadsheet so that we have one email with the head count and with the spreadsheet so we can just look to that one email per department?
Okay. All right,
I'm sorry.
Lamont, I'm sorry, and Lamont and Keenan, just one question for clarification, just so I have it right on the fair rent. While you say in fair rent, we have one full-time and one part-time, the budget number we're looking at, the 218, is reflective actually of 3 headcount because that's where the funding for the individual who does not sit within fair rent but is funded out of fair rent is. So is that
Yeah,
representative?
I don't know if I guess.
Actually, Chair Abrams, that line item, the 218 figure, that would be for the 2 full-time employees. And
Okay.
then the part-time ADA coordinator, that
Is
would be
in
in the line
subsequent
item.
lines.
Exactly.
Yep. Thank you for the clarification.
And just this is more probably back end, but fair rent, community services, all one department. We're actually physically located in the same space as well, but we inherited this kind of structure where this position was there, this position was there. But to Keenan's point, the administrative assistant is out of fair rent, but really serving the department.
Understood, just
Yeah.
looking to make sure I
You
could
got
align
it.
the numbers with the head count. Thank you.
You got it.
And then if I could also clarify on the head count, when it is a part-time person, is that person fully loaded with benefits or are they just part-time?
Just part-time.
No. Yeah.
Okay, and then the other question, given the contract negotiations, could we have a better multiplier for what the actual costs are to the city? So is it a gross up of 34%, 43%, or 20%? If we could have that number so that we understand the true dollar of every single, so the dollar number here for headcount is not reflective of the true cost to the city. So if we could have what that multiplier should be calculated, that would be great so that we can actually do that.
I'm sorry, can you clarify? Are you looking for the cost of the overall compensation, including benefits? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, what's the multiplier? So should we take base salary and multiply it by 0.35? If the contract negotiations created higher benefit amounts, is it now 0.14 or is it 1.4? So just what that multiplier is. We don't have to go through it now, but at some point of time, I'd like a number that is not an estimate, but actually a good calculated number. I realize it's probably still going to be an estimate, but it's
going to be an estimate, yeah.
But it's not a guesstimate. It's something that's been calculated from numbers. Okay, I'm sorry, Lamont, you were on fair rent.
Yes, I think Mr. Abrams, I answered. I just want to clarify that admin is in fair rent, but she's not admin in one individual. It's just her budget lives in the fair rent line item.
Yes, you did clarify that. Thank
Want
you.
to make sure about that.
I understand it. Thank you very much.
Tom is Troy. Hi, Lamont. How are you tonight? Can you move up to the bottom with the percentage increase, Tom, on the spreadsheet?
For which area, Troy?
For the whole unit, did we have it at the bottom there? Did we, for the whole
For
unit?
Lamont's Hold World?
Yeah, or ex
Okay.
his former world, but yes.
So that one right there, the 5.2,
Yeah, okay, 5.2. Good.
which is pretty
Mr. Troy,
darn
I
good.
thought about you.
Yeah, I start there and I work backwards. Yeah, that's a nice start, Lamont. I'm very happy to see that. And I liked Keenan's use of the word decreased a lot, but thank you. Good. 5.2. Do you think that as I asked you on Monday, the first night, excuse me, Tuesday, do you see some room in there for us to get a little more relief for the taxpayers?
And most certainly, I think I've worked with you all over the past 6 years since my tenure here, and I recognize the importance of the responsibility. So we are looking, and we will look and see what is needed, what's important, and come back to you. We've made some reductions working with IT, whether our budget carries some of the IT needs, whether Joy. So we're looking at shared resources from a department perspective. But most certainly, we are looking at Sherelle and I spoke today. We didn't get to the library. Maybe we can decrease some of those, or delay, if you will, some of the activity, because there are some things that the library has wanted to do, and we have delayed it several years. But we did put it in. But if, to your point, if we need to delay again, obviously we will do what we need to do to support the overall budget for our taxpayers. And
Right.
we'll
Thank you,
talk about that.
Lamont. And I'll remind you and I'll remind all of the members of the BET, we do have an outstanding request into every single citywide department to come back with an alternative that that would lay out a 10% reduction for each department. And at department, I mean, Lamont, at your total level, not the individual departments, with the risks and impacts so that we can evaluate that. So, Troy, to your point on looking for reductions, there is a required response from all of the department heads on that minus 10%.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the points I wanted to just highlight here too is we within the Youth Services Division, we get about $95,000 every year state grants through DCF, and about 62,000 and change of that, we use that to offset that subsidizes salaries within the department. So rather than some of the grant money is program focused, but some of it is used as an offset. The city treats it as revenue, so it offsets the burden to the taxpayer. So it's not a massive number, but I just wanted to highlight that we do what we can in terms of lightening the burden a little bit on the taxpayer.
David, I think that is a terrific point, and I hope that everybody goes through and highlights the revenues that the department brings in, how they are able to offset their costs, and also what it might look projected in the more uncertain federal funding environment that we're in. So thank you. That's an excellent point.
Okay. Any other questions for Keenan before we go through the rest of Lamont's departments?
I just have one on fair rent, and it has to do not in this department, but do we still have the open position where Margaret Sweeb occupied, where she was the fair housing officer?
Right. Thank you, Ms. Inc. for that. So that's a separate department that's under fair housing. So that function doesn't live within the community's services department umbrella. But just so you know, the position has been filled. I am aware of that.
Yeah, that's one of the grant funded areas, and that'll be covered next Wednesday. Jalen Seed from the City Council actually oversees that, and that, yes, that position has been filled, and they'll be speaking to their request.
Okay.
All right. So any other questions then for Keenan?
Um, Pardon me, not
Go
for,
ahead, Jeff.
but actually for you. As we've been hearing this, it's occurring to me that I don't exactly know what is meant by the 10% reduction. So in this case, is it the 11 million spend proposed for 27 should come down by 1.1 million, or the 550 increase should come down by 55,000?
Yeah, the 11 million. 10% lower than that. And again, not at it's not every single line item. I would look to Lamont to look across all of the departments and come back with a recommendation that then lays out risks, impacts, etc. There is no decision that this is mandated, that this is something that will absolutely happen. It is part of what we want to consider as we look at challenging one another to be as fiscally responsible as we can.
Thank you.
Okay. So shall we keep moving through the rest of the departments then, Lamont?
Yes, thank you. Come on. Thank you, Keenan.
Yeah, next up, Lamond is your area, Chief of Community Services. And you're obviously your big line item here is your grants to outside agencies.
Sure, thank you. And we actually are we made an offer, and so I can share that that salary line will come down, so that will give us some significant savings in hiring a new chief of community services. So for those grant items, let me just get my paperwork. The grants to outside agencies reflects the city's targeted support for several community partners that provide important services to Norwalk residents. For example, we provide a grant to the Norwalk Senior Center for their operating expenses as part of the city's partnership with them. We also provide a required local match of $500,000. It's a federal match for the Head Start program. This is ministered through the Connecticut Institute, an organization that runs it here in the city, to ensure that Norwalk families, our little ones, continue to have access to early services. And they also come out of that budget because it's a line item, but it's not itemized. So I was just take a moment to share some of that funding from the mayor's summer youth program is also included. So when you look at that line item, not about almost 60% of that reflects contractual requirements. The Norwalk Senior is actually 400,000 commitments of Head Start match and other long-standing agreements. And then the other one, the 367,564, so I'll talk about them too, then we can talk about them as well. That's also similar. Just haven't been in this in a while. Those are also other contractual services. For example, our municipal agent for the elderly, which is a statutory requirement that the city, given the population size of our city, we're required to have a municipal agent for the elderly. This person supports and provides case management services to our low-income seniors. And so we have a contract with FCA that provides that service on behalf of the city. This has been a long-standing service that the city has provided. We went out to bid several years ago, and through the bidding process, we selected FCA. And then we also have a 2-year, we're closing out our 2-year contract for Mid-Fairfield, where we provide support to Mid-Fairfield to increase mental health services to children here in the city of Norwalk. So those 2 items total, because we're not asking for anything additional except to meet those obligations for those grants for fiscal year 27.
Mr. Daniels, is the $600,000 grant that we make to the North Transit District in your 1.5 million, or is that somewhere else?
That's somewhere else.
Okay.
So there's a homeless grant in here. We provide, I'm just looking at my list, to Open Doors. That's a 3-year contract. So we use this funding for targeted specific services to support our residents to expand city services, but through a grant process in partnership with our local nonprofits. And I also want to say that since my tenure here, I've made it a best practice that when we do give out grants to these organizations, we really encourage them to use the city dollars, taxpayers' dollars, as leverage. For example, Open Door would receive 100,000, but they're getting a match. So now they have $200,000 because oftentimes it works both ways. I heard the conversation yesterday. It works both ways. Some foundations are saying, well, what can your local municipality can do? So that's how we leverage these dollars. So that's how we leverage these dollars in that way, that we can support the nonprofit, and the nonprofit can leverage the city dollars to then get additional funds to even expand the services for our residents. So we use that best practice both ways to support how we do our funding since I've been here. So we're not just giving money, but we're also saying, what else can a nonprofit, or how can you leverage the tax dollars to support the work that we do here in the city? Hope that makes sense. I see a hand.
Yep. I'm sorry, Kendrick, you had your hand up?
Yes, Lamont, you've always come under year after year, and then we're asking for an additional 10% cut. Is there any areas you feel you need the funds where you can't cut anymore or things will break?
Well, I think my answer is going to be I need it all. But I understand the importance, and we will look at it. But I think, to Mr. Abrams' point, if the directive has been to do this, I don't know if I call it an exercise, but I'll be very clear on that. If we cut, this is what's going to happen. I think it's important that we are the well-being of the city. We can, there's a lot going on. I don't want to get philosophical, but we're the safety net, working with our nonprofits for our city, and there are still many. Keenan can speak to, last year we saw 8,000 residents, and hearing the concerns of the well-being of what our residents are going through locally in our community. So to cut and the ability not to support them can be challenging, but we'll do the exercise and come back with you to really show what that may look like.
Exactly. And I want to be very clear. This is not a directive. This is an exploration. This is looking to understand, as I said, the impacts and the risks associated with further reductions like this, and to drive some consistency across all departments in the way we look at this. My hope is that the departments will be creative in solving these problems, and we will find opportunities for material savings across the citywide budget. But I want to be very clear at this juncture. This is not a directive or a decision. This is a piece of information that will be used in deliberations.
David has his hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Mr. Constant's inquiry and noticing of coming under. Obviously, I can't speak to all of community services, but just within the youth services division, I know last year, really the last year and a half, we've struggled to hire staff. And so for a good part of last year, we were understaffed and we were just having trouble hiring qualified people. We're fully staffed now, fortunately. That did impact our operations on some level. But that might be some contribution to, if you're noticing, you were commenting towards Lamont that you notice he comes in under. I'm guessing there's other functional groups within community services that may have, not been fully staffed, and that might be something that at the end of the year results in coming in under what was budgeted for. Because we certainly had that experience with the youth services.
Yeah, it's possible as well. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Additional questions regarding community service? All right, where shall we go next, Tom?
We are moving on to the health department. So
Deanna's here.
yeah, we've got Deanna for a good chunk of these next sections. Let me just open them up. And I think that will do it. So we will start with health administration. Go ahead,
Sure.
Deanna.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everyone. Just to give a broad scope overview before we go by each group, by each division. So we too looked at all of our accounts and looked for ways that we could make reductions in costs. So you'll see that there's, slight reductions here and there throughout the various accounts. We are proposing some reductions in some of our part-time wage lines and OT line. For the overall increases, about 83% of the areas where you'll see increases, they relate to wages, longevity payments, and such. And all the other line items, there is an increase to be able to continue to fully support the WIC program. That's the other major area, and that's in the health admin area. And then on all the other accounts, there's a slight reduction. In terms of staffing, currently we have 21 full-time staff members in the health department across these various divisions, and 6 part-time staff members included in here. And I can as we go through each group, I can tell you what the headcounts are for those. And then also I can touch on some revenue notes as well, if you find that helpful. So for health admin, you'll see the wage increase. You'll see areas where we are proposing reductions in like membership and dues, which is 5235, a slight reduction in advertising and telephone, in mileage. You'll see a requested increase for machinery, equipment, and rent, because that's based on some projections that we've ran and what we've been spending so far for this fiscal year. But this might be an area where we can look to make some cost savings, so we don't have to have that increase if we look further into it. The insurance premium, that's the line item that we've been utilizing to have the city provide additional support to the WIC program. So as a background, the health department runs the Women, Infants, and Children program out of the health department. We subcontract with Optimus, who's Community Health Center. They hold the main contract for our region with the state health department to offer the WIC program. We subcontract in order to be able to provide it in Norwalk. We used to have a direct contract in the past to be able to offer directly in Norwalk. But now, because of some changes, there's a subcontracting model, but the interest has been having Norwalk to be able to provide this essential service and program for our residents in Norwalk. We serve about 1,400 families through this program. And so as we've reviewed before in the past, our grant funded folks are in a union, they get wage increases, they have the health benefits. And so in order to be able to continue to provide this program with increased costs, but with the limited grant funds, the city's made the commitment to be able to offer it and to provide this additional support to operate the program. I think that covers admin. Seven full-time staff members, 1 part-time.
Any questions related to admin? Okay, thank you. Let's keep moving then.
Building maintenance, Neil and his team put together that request. So I think Neil is on. I don't know if he has any highlights he wants to share for building maintenance.
I'm sorry, what was the question on the building maintenance?
Sorry, Neil. Anything you want to highlight here for our budget for the BET for the board?
I think Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, we'll be covering that when we go through our budget line.
Yeah,
Is that cool?
it's consistent with all the other buildings. It's all contractual, the same regular line items that are covered everywhere else: electric, water, gas, buildings. The allocation for the building, the guardian staff, et cetera, et cetera. The good news is it's down year over year. It's a slight decrease, $800. But basically the services and materials that you provide for the health department building in terms of maintenance on an annual basis.
Okay. Let's keep moving.
So environmental health and housing has 8 full-time staff members, 1 part-time. You'll see we are proposing reductions in some of the overtime with some of the part-time because we have a newer person, so there's reduced wages with the newer hire, and messenger and delivery services, which is used to pay for transports to labs, different specimens. The overtime area, we had been planning on putting together like an on-call system where folks would be paid to be on call for different weekends, but we're switching back to being able to have our assistant director of health and myself as the people that are on call. And so revenue, this is one of the areas where we do bring in revenues for all our various licenses and permits: food, septic, body care, body art, salons. So that's one area. And we work with the Board of Health and the Common Council to set our fees.
Okay. Any questions here? All right, let's keep chugging along.
Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button.
I'm sorry, Joe.
The decrease in other grants contributions, is this a planned expiration of a grant, or is it something that's not going to happen?
That's reflective of, that's the line item that's used to fund relocation services. So currently in our budget, it's been 50,000, and then we go to the BET if something happens where additional costs are incurred. And so that money is really reflecting the Halstead relocation that happened this year, so that the budget was revised because the BET approved a transfer from contingency in order to fund that. So that really reflects the updated budget of this current year. We're proposing the same 50,000 for next year as we got originally for this year.
Deanna, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, I think you were asking about the line below that.
5617.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so if you look at the actuals, you've got an average of, let's call it 60 grand a year over the last 3 years, and then nothing for 26 or 27. So just looking for a little background on that one.
Sure. That is because it's all now in line 5290 eviction. So that was
oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, the BET requested us in the past to change the line item to be more reflective of what the expenditures were. So that's what that is. I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question originally.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay.
Weights and measures. We have a sealer of weights and measures that's mandated for a city of our size that goes around and verifies, all the scales, the meters are all accurate measurements. And so the increase here is just for the contractual wage increases and longevity payments.
Okay.
That's one full-time person. All right, we're at the
Health lab.
Would you mind expanding medical and education? That one, so they can see those
yeah, sorry
lines.
about that. I got 9 out of your 10 sections, Deanna.
No, you're doing great. Medical and education, we call that our community health section. That's the increases there are for our two full-time staff members for their contractual increases. Everything else is, the same. And then our lab, we have one part-time person that is funded out of our lab. Also, I think that's also a newer hire, so that's why there's a slight decrease because of the wages. And then everything else was the same.
And Deanna, please remind me, why isn't all of lab completely outsourced?
So that's a great question. We have been outsourcing. So we used to have a full-time lab director, and we also had somebody who worked a combination of jobs, right? About part-time, of half of her time was in the lab. We used to have an independent lab license for our clinical services, and we had an independent lab license for our environmental. So both of those licenses we no longer hold. We're now underneath the state's umbrella for our clinical, and we also outsourced the state health department lab for most of our specimens, and they're able to run those for free. So they provide that support for us, but we still need the person to, collect the samples, to package them, to ship them, to provide assistance to our clinical programs, to assist with maintaining our rainfall data, processing our tick specimens that we send to the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station. But we no longer operate our own independent lab.
Okay, thank you very much.
Preventable diseases, you'll see here increases for the full-time, like as we talked about the regular wages, but you will see a reduction in the part-time. We took a look at, our staffing structure and figured out ways we can make savings there. Our clinical team has 3 full-time staff members and 3 part-time, which includes our contracted medical director. And you also see some reductions in mileage, and then there is a slight increase for the uniforms and cleaning, and that's because we have a contract. We went out and got quotes for various companies, and last year I believe it was, and we signed a contract, and so there's some automatic increases, for every year. There's slight increases in that.
Okay.
And I think that's all of my areas.
Any additional questions or comments for Deanna? Thank you very much, Deanna.
Thanks, Deanna.
I'm sorry, was somebody making a comment?
Yes, I just scrolling through, I'm looking at line item 5392 books and looking at actuals encumbered and the remaining amount. It seems like there's a large increase between 25 actuals and the requested for 2027. Just trying to understand the basis behind that increase.
Kendrick, what line number are you on? I know you said the account number,
5392.
but what row?
Yeah,
234.
Yeah.
that's the library.
Yeah, we're
That's
not there
library.
yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Sorry about that.
How are you there? I didn't even open that up yet.
I'm looking on my own
Oh,
over.
okay. All right, gotcha.
Thank
All right,
you, Deanna.
now we're ready. Okay. Are we ready to move on to library? Yes?
I believe so. There's no other
Okay.
questions, are there?
All right, so library 1, library 2, library 3. Okay. Total library, 10% for the administration and programs. Let's take it up to the top. And we have Sherelle here. Go ahead, Sherelle.
Sherelle, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. And again, good evening, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to present this evening. I will begin with our request. And I'm just pulling that screen up. So for account 5140, our part-time payroll, we have been talking, I guess, for maybe a couple of years regarding our part-time staff salaries. And part-time staff have not had any raises since 2012. So that's over 10 years. And the librarians have not had a raise even prior to then, because when we gave the raises in 2012, we were only able to give to the library assistants and the library clerks. So that excluded the other areas. In, let's see.
And Sherelle, for all of these numbers, do you have the head count available? Do you know what the full-time and the part-time head count are for the various libraries?
Sure. So at present, the full-time staff is 19, and we have 4 open positions that we're currently in the process of filling, and the part-time number is 43.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. And so we did give the custodians an increase as minimum wage started to go up. It went up to $16.35 in 2025, and then it went up to, I believe, $16.94 this year. So the custodians were making $11, and they do the grunt of the heavy lifting and the work. And so we brought them up to 17,000, but the other staff have not had raises since 2012. So we're grateful for the 100,000 that was put in the budget. We won't be able to give everybody a raise, but hopefully, that should help.
Okay.
So moving on to account number 5258, which is our programming. We requested 20,000 across 5 departments. We received 17,000, which is a great increase. Our programming needs are constantly changing, and we want to keep up with the local needs and wants. So our programs are the bread and butter, basically, that draw people into the library. And once they're in, they're amazed, with all of the services, the databases, and different literature, that we offer. So the allotment usually is for 4 departments, but our technology department also, hosts programs as well. So they would need a budget allocation as well. They've really stepped up for programming needs, I guess, within the last 4 years or so.
Okay. Ms. Yang, I believe you have a question or a comment?
Yes, thank you, Sherelle, for your commentary.
Sure.
I'm a little confused because I thought there was one year, not too recently, that money was given for a raise for at least the hourly people that worked with you.
No, there wasn't.
Okay.
No, there was a lot of public comments around it during our budgeting process, but at the end, Ms. Yang, it was denied.
Well, I would like to go on the record that I was advocating for that.
And you were. I really want to thank you for that, because I did see your comment. Your comment was listed in Nancy on Norwalk. And I do remember during the last budget cycle that you were very supportive. So that is not gone unnoticed or unappreciated.
Yeah, I think it's all relative. It wasn't a lot of money that affected a lot of people. And so I think that's a nice way to look at some of the things that we do. So thank you very much, Sherelle, for clarifying that. I couldn't remember exactly.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
As
And
a-
thank you, Ann, for your advocacy.
Sure, hi, this is Troy. As a follow-up to Ann's question, you say there's 43 part-timers that are probably under what you just mentioned, that no. Has that number been stable? Are you having a hard time filling that spot? It sounds like people are still taking the job, right?
They are, but what happens is, particularly with our librarians, we are well under market rate for the state of Connecticut, like well under. So as soon as people find other jobs, sometimes part-time librarian jobs that pay more than what we pay, they're going to take those jobs. We lost a couple of part-time staff, and people, the money matters, and we are the department. We're open 7 days a week, and some days 12 hours, and we are public facing all of the time. So it really makes a difference, and for morale and to show people that we appreciate their services.
But with the 43 spots, do you have any openings right now?
We do because we lost, let's see, I think we lost 3 staff members. So at present, we're advertising for part-time librarians and part-time library assistants.
Do
Okay.
you have any data, Sherelle, over the last 3 years as to what your attrition rate has been, both on the full-time and the part-time?
As far as turnover,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, yes, the average number of people you've lost per year over the last 3 years. You don't have to pull it up now, but if you
yeah,
have that data, that would be a good follow-up, please.
is it okay? Okay, great. Let me just write that down. Okay, I will work on that and get it to you.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Okay, and let's see. So for account number, oh, that's 5392. We had discussed at length last budget cycle the need to increase our book budget. And we had talked about the e-content. After COVID, many people went over to, they just got used to checking out online and reading, downloading books. And many of our people still do that. And we have a huge appetite for, downloadable items. And I mentioned before that, and it's across the country, it's not just Norwalk, it's not just Connecticut, it's across the country that librarians are having a hard time because you can get a hardcover book, for $15, and the same book in ebook can cost $50. So we asked for 25% of the book budget, which came out to $64,625, and it was granted. So we're very pleased about that. We we have waiting lists that are just crazy. We're seeing wait lists for popular items in particular, for e-content and physical books that are reaching the double digits. And it'll be great. So people, we'll hear it all the time. Oh, well, we can go to the surrounding libraries, and we want Norwalkers to be able to get things from their own library.
So just so I'm understanding correctly, the digital books cost more.
Oh,
Is
yes.
it a one-time cost or is it
It
ongoing?
depends on what format. Some of them give us a certain amount of circs that we can have, like a physical book that it can go out as many times, until the binding falls off. Certain ones, we may be able to get, 3 or 4 circs. It just depends on what format what platform we're using.
Hmm.
And I'd assume you're using the least expensive platform.
We are, and in one of them, we have something, it's the ability to budget. So it just sort of stops when we reach that, that threshold. And I do want to add, finally, we are able to add passport service again. Obviously, we stopped during COVID, and it has been a long, slow road to getting, approved again, but we are there. We'll begin passport service April 6th. And in the past, like we started passport service, I believe, in 2017. And in 2017, we brought in roughly 31,000. 2018-19, it went up to 34. 19-20, which is around the COVID time, it went down to 21. So we're sitting now to see how much, if we possibly can, estimate, how much revenue it will bring in for us.
Is that with your existing staff, Sherelle?
Correct.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, I believe you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, I'm just curious, Sherelle, how many online books were you able to purchase last year? And what do you anticipate you would, with this request, you'd be able to purchase this year?
That's a really good question. I'd have to get back to you. I don't have the statistics right now, but I can pull that information.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be curious. And also, another thing I'd kind of like to know is like, Are you able to stay on top of like the most current books within this budget? You probably aren't. You probably aren't because a lot of books are released every year. But I'm just curious about that, and you can get that to me another time as well. But something I'd like to know.
Do you mean the present or
Yeah,
with the money that we're given now?
with your with I guess like a history, right? With what you were able to purchase last year, with what you're requesting for this year, are you able to keep up with the books that everyone wants to read, the new releases?
Well, part of the issue is why, we asked for the money is because we were not able to satisfy
Mhm.
with the new releases and the popular
Mhm.
titles. Where, we always hear, oh, well, these people have, or this library has,
Mhm.
20 or 25, and, we had a budget. So we couldn't,
Mhm.
we had wait lists, huge wait lists.
Yep, I've experienced that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Cheryl, just a couple of comments quickly. Is your library card population growing, staying the same, or decreasing over the last year or two?
I would say it's growing. I can,
Okay.
yeah, I can pull it up now. I didn't think that
Yeah,
question
but
was
you
gonna come
feel
up,
it's growing though.
but I do have, oh yeah.
And just another comment. I think the mayor was with us last week. We did a tour of the new Norwalk High School, and for those of you that haven't done it, it's a great building. We went to one room and we asked what room this is, and they said it's the media room. And the question came up, media room, is that? He goes, yeah, we don't call it a library because we're not going to have a lot of books in it. So I'm just curious, what do you think of that?
I think, kids are, this generation is definitely, the technology generation. So, I can see that. I do see that younger, parents who have younger children, they still prefer actual books. So, they come in, to get their 20 or 30 like folk tales or, picture books and things like that. So with the younger groups, we definitely see, parents still coming in. And then you have, the elderly generation, which can be sort of a toss up, but the majority tend to still like to hold the physical book.
Thank you.
Sherelle, question for me, and I understand the delicate balance that the public library system has to provide in terms of services and capabilities for the general public. But do you feel like if you look across all of your programming, all of your other opportunities, you've maximized the revenue opportunities as much as possible? Again, I know a lot of our programming, what draws people in is the fact that it's access to no cost programming. But if you do you feel you've looked as aggressively as possible at the revenue side of the equation?
Meaning, let me just make sure I understand your question. So
Opportunities to generate revenue. So thirty
generate
thousand
revenue.
dollars a year through Passport. Some of the programming, collecting fees associated with programming. Do you feel you've looked at all those opportunities as aggressively as possible?
Well, we're a free public library, so we don't
Like
charge.
I said, I understand the balance point here.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, we're a free library, so we don't charge, for programs and things like that. That's something that we can look at to see how we can do that and still remain a free public library. So passport service is one. So, that's a fair question. Also looking at the state, to see how we can maximize, grants and things like that. Yes.
Yeah, I would ask you to explore those things, please.
Okay.
Mm. Um, I believe we need to cover maintenance for the two libraries, or are we going to cover that, Tom,
Yeah,
with
these
at
are
a
both
separate time?
building related, one for the main library, one for Sono, and fall under the umbrella of Neil's World. So
Guardian.
similar types of things with the contractual setup for electric, water, and the Guardian support systems.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions for Sherelle then? All right, seeing none, Sherelle, thank you. Lamont,
Thank you,
thank you.
Sherelle. Thank you, everyone, as always. Thank you very much.
All right. I believe next we're going to Vanessa, correct?
Correct. That one.
So Tom, if that doesn't mess you up, I would like to do building management first. Followed by,
Yeah, it's all on one spreadsheet, it's just different tabs. I just have to find the spreadsheet.
okay, so, Mr. Chairman, whenever I can, I just want to do like an opening about all my public works budget. Before we go specific to each one, I understand that you may want, finance to say something, but whenever I have a chance, I would like to speak before the department heads.
Please go ahead right now. I just didn't want everybody to be distracted while Tom was looking for spreadsheets.
Okay.
So please go right ahead.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. Thanks again for the opportunity to have us here and we can go over the budget. First, I just want to introduce that we have all the staff here. Here in person with me, we have Rob Stowers, Chris Thor, Ken Hughes, Deline Bird, myself, and then online we have Neil. I'm also gonna, unfortunately, Jimmy couldn't join us tonight, but he has a very small operating budget, so I'll be able to go over his lines with you guys. One thing that I want to state is that we do understand the challenge that the city is going over, and that was what we spent weeks before putting our budget together. But we also face a couple of challenges that I want to share with you before you take in consideration everything that we're going to go over. We were very much affected by our new contractual obligations. As you are aware, the 2405 went through a new contract this year, and pretty much all the 2405 works under us. That also caused a major impact on the wage and benefit adjustments. And also, another thing that has been happening is that every year, the service demands that is required by the residents is just getting higher and higher, adding even more use of on maintenance, on personnel and all that. One thing that also raised a lot the cost, and I know Neil is specific under building management, but is throughout the board on our divisions, is utility cost. The utility has been really raised beyond what was the expected increase that you guys asked us to do. One thing also that I want to call your attention is that in the past few budget seasons, in order to meet some of the requirements that was put up on us, we were able to reduce some of our items with the expectation that we may get that money during the transfer process at the end of the year if we were in the red for that number. And I believe that in the last 3 budget seasons, we did that, and sometimes we minimize already that the request, already knowing that probably what will be the gap would be transferred. This year, the transfer did not occur. So just to be on the safe side and to be very transparent about it, the numbers that you guys are going to see is really the numbers that we truly need. So with that, some of the items will show a major increase compared to last year, but I just want to call your attention that the reason for that was that there was no transfer, but it's pretty much almost the average of what we have been using on a regular year, I would say. Besides that, what I would like to do now is, so this is in general that I apply for all the divisions, Each division has some specifics that I would like to talk about before I pass to the head. So since I would like to start with building management, I think that again, one of the major concerns that is shown on their budget is really the contractual obligations and also is personnel costs there. Also, they are going to be assuming full maintenance for the city firehouse and Lockwood Matthew Mansion, and that also ended up adding a little more to their budget. Again, utilities is really big on building management increase with, for instance, electric at 98 Main Street being about 193%. This is our new recreation center building. So before although we already own that building, that was pretty much not being occupied. Now, as you know, there will be a use for the building now as a recreation center. So we are already projecting the cost of those utilities. So just in there, that is a big increase. The same applies to water and gas and also at Roosevelt facilities. So I'm gonna now pass to Neil. I'll let him go through the items, and then when we go to the other divisions, I'll go back and be more specific about it.
Good evening, everyone. Neil Rennie, Property Manager. Thank you again for hearing my presentation tonight. I'm going to start off with giving you the head count for our team. Management, we have 3 individuals. In our engineering maintenance staff, we will have 7. And in our janitorial, we will have 3 full-time and 21 part-time. As a common theme you'll hear through this is we're adding 7 buildings. As Vanessa mentioned, we're adding 5 fire departments. We're adding the mansion, and we are adding, or shouldn't really say adding, but we're loading up 98 South, which has been vacant for probably a good year or two. So if you want to go through budget, the budget items, we can. So we just before we get into the budget and percentages, we did a couple analysis on our own. Without adding any other additional buildings, our budget would come in at 4%. With adding the additional properties. So the fire department's really we're taking their budget line items and really bringing them over to us. There's just a slight uptick in manpower to maintain those buildings. So there's a little cost there. The mansion's a little bit more sophisticated. They put a tremendous amount of equipment in that building. It's a rather large building. It's an old building. It's the heating, the utilities there are very high because it's not insulated, right? It's built in the 1800s. So that's a taxing building. We've been working with that building for the last 6 months to bring it out of warranty. We're almost there now. By June, July, we'll be ready to take that over 100% with your approval.
Neil, quick question on the fire department. You said that you're taking over the 5 stations.
Yes.
Who was taking care of it before?
The firemen and contractors.
Yeah, and if I could jump in, if I could jump in just for a quick second, Troy and Neil, what you saw the other night, there was a section in there for building maintenance in the fire department, and that had their costs in there for 27. So you'll recall in our discussion that there was some captains that were listed in their budget for 27 that we need to adjust. We also need to adjust their building maintenance numbers down a bit. So when we come back to you before the deliberations, you'll see their building maintenance numbers come down about $300,000. And that's what you'll see is roughly a $300,000 bump on the building management side here tonight. So good news for the fire department. You'll see their numbers come down, but you'll see the corresponding increase over here as Neil's team takes over those buildings.
Okay.
So it's a neutral move, Tom?
Roughly. Yeah. I mean,
Yes?
Neil's got.
You said yes or no? I didn't quite understand it.
I don't think it'll be a 1-for-1, but it'll be relatively close. It'll be about $300,000 in each direction.
Okay. If it's not 1-for-1, I'd like to understand why.
Because
Okay.
there's the manpower, so the actual physical, the manpower that we apply to it, we apply so many hours based on the square footage of the building. So you'll see throughout
I
our budget.
understand that, Neil, but I would have expected the fire department in their prior budget would have also been deploying manpower to maintain those buildings.
I don't believe that to be true. Most of these have been maintained by the firemen as part of their shifts. And that's part of the problem over there, the lack of maintenance. So we have
Right, but
firemen that
that's-
are electricians, painters, plumbers, and we're trying to get some consistency within the buildings.
I'd just like to leave it as an open item to really go in depth on this, please. I appreciate your comment and your
We have it.
assertion, but I want to see the detail.
We have the costs. We have the costs in our budgets so that we can look at if you like.
Okay. Madam Mayor?
Yeah, I'm going to just add some context and some history as to how it got to this place. And Neil, you provide all the actual
Sure.
details with the numbers, but there were some conditions, Ed, in some of the fire departments and particularly Station 4 that really were deplorable. They were having problems with mold, with rats, with, I mean, it was unacceptable.
Mhm.
And, the guys were just really doing the best they could to make things work. But, at that point, it just all kind of came to a head. And, that's when we really started talking about, this is about 2 years ago, we really started talking about building management taking over the fire department. And so, they've been asking for it. And I think, these are city-owned buildings and we want to make sure that professionals are really, taking care of the maintenance there instead of guys who, really need to be, and, men and women who really need to be focused on, the very important work they do of, keeping us safe. So that's kind of just a real quick
No,
background for how it got started.
right. I appreciate the history and I do recall all the conversations on
Yeah.
Station 4, so thank you. I'm just asking that we understand which part of this is direct shift, which part of this becomes incremental because of those
Yeah.
requirements.
And Mayor, I just want to follow up on that. Station number 4. Are the conditions now perfect?
I don't think they're perfect, Neil. But I know, Neil, you went in there and
They're
you
night.
really did a great job.
They're night and day. We went over
Yeah.
there and we did. We probably spent several weeks over there bringing the conditions up, from cleaning to painting to redoing the showers to replacing some windows. Obviously, that's going under total major renovation. But we did bring the conditions up quite a bit, and the staff was pretty happy with what we did for them.
And the fire people are happy about the new conditions. Is that what you're saying, Neil?
Yeah,
They
yes,
are.
sir.
I know
Yes,
they
sir.
are too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So-
thanks for asking that question, Troy.
So when we talk about costs, everything, if you were to look through under each one of the fire departments, there's a code, it's spelled out under buildings. That's the cost that were applied, the additional cost that's applied to each building. I can use an example, New Canaan Station, 90 New Canaan, that's $14,000. You have Van Zant, that is that's $6,000. And so on. You can go to Westport, that's $11,000 for extra maintenance. And Meadows is 12,000.
Excuse me, Neil. Which is station number 4? Give me the.
That's Westport.
And how much did you spend?
This is what we're projecting for the coming year. It's 11,644.
And how much did you spend over the last 2 years to get it up to what you said is
We
a
didn't.
very good condition?
I'll be quite honest with you. It was minimal. It was probably under $10,000. Right. There was, again, a lot of it was just basic painting of the locker room area, cleaning, heavy cleaning of the shower facility, bathroom facilities, the kitchens. We implemented some programs as far as pest control. We redid all the lights in the bay, in the truck bay areas. Replaced a window that wouldn't operate in the kitchen area. So
Well, listen, I'd have to say the $10,000 to go for 2 years to get it from deplorable to well respected. I take my hat off to you.
well, thank you. You know, it was rewarding for them and for us. It worked out well. Thank you.
Neil, if I were roughly to equate each of these buildings line items with the labor hours required or expected for maintenance over the course of the year, roughly how many labor hours are we looking at per building from a maintenance perspective?
So the way we operate, every building on a Monday, we tour through the building. That's typically 1 hour. And then everything, you know, there's the maintenance of it, depending on the systems too, right? Some have some archaic window units, some have rooftop units. So it varies from building to building. And we a lot of our work's based off of service calls, which then we establish. We have a work order system, and we collect all the hours that we put into a facility. But typically it's not a great amount. It's the quality that we put into it, and so it's typically if it's 4 hours a week, it's probably a lot. 5 hours a week, it's probably a lot. But sometimes it's two men going out to a building if it's doing heavy maintenance, which requires lifting or going onto a rooftop or.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any additional questions?
Yeah, just one quick. Neil, we don't own, how many fire departments are there? How many stations are there? 5 or 6?
No, there's so I have here 1, 2, 3, 4. We're adding 5. Plus we're also so we're adding a total of 5. Plus we'll have Station 2, which is the headquarters.
So we have a total of 6 buildings.
Yeah, so we're also picking up the mechanics garage off of here.
Okay, but that's the fire department. So would you say the fire buildings are 6, you said?
That is what I have here. 1, 2, 3.
And I'm just curious, we still we only rent one of them, I think. We own all the other 5 out of the 6. Is that correct, or is that different?
I think I want to say like Van Zant is like a long-term lease.
Okay, so that's the only one we don't own.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Neil. That's the East Norwalk one. They just replaced the floor.
Yeah, they just did the floor. We just did the floor over there.
Yeah, and the third taxing district paid for that.
Just wanted to make sure that I know one of them we were leasing. Okay, thank you.
Additional questions for Neil? Okay. Where are we headed next, Tom?
We'll go to operations. So again, so back to what is the main driver on our operations budget. One of our major costs on our operating budget is really the solid waste recycling, collection, disposal service. I believe you guys remember, but we just rolled out this in July a new plan with the whole collection system. And the reason that triggered that was that our contract was expired, and then instead of just putting out a bid to get a new vendor to do the collection and also operate our transfer station, we knew that this is our biggest operating cost under Public Works. We decided to pause, hire a consultant to help us understand better what we were doing and how we could start being more effective and more cost effective. For those that are not familiarized with solid waste is one of the biggest expense that pretty much the whole world now is facing. But anywhere that you go in the US, where all the municipalities are facing a lot of issues because of the solid waste. There are 2 reasons for that. One of it, particularly here in Connecticut, is that there is no landfill that we can dispose the solid waste. So most of the solid waste, and we do not have any incinerators now. Connecticut is about to close the remaining incinerators that we have in Connecticut. So most of the garbage has to be hauled to other states. Sometimes can be Ohio. What is really increasing a lot of the cost of that. The second thing that really increased the cost is the recycling, because during COVID, the Asia market closed the recycling that used to buy all the recycling from the US. What used to be for us a profitable thing, that's why we always did citywide recycling for free, because we were collecting the recycling and we were selling, that became a revenue to minimize a little bit our cost for garbage. Now it is pretty much an expense. So what we ended up doing for a period of 2 years was to really understand what we were doing, how many units we were serving, and how we could make it a better plan. One of the major things that was done in this plan is that we stopped servicing all the commercial units that are within our collection area. And that really and what is commercial? Let me just qualify. Even a residential unit with more than 4 units in a parcel is considered commercial. So with that, we know exactly how many units we are serving. One way that also we fixed that was we changed all the garbage cans. Everybody knows that now the ones that we serve is a black bin with a red lid, because before we have the issue that everybody was putting their garbage out, and even people that were not being paying for garbage collection in their meal rate, they were being collected. Another thing was, in the last program, they had the option of opt out of collection. Some people opt out, and sometimes that house was being sold. The new owner will come in, will still put the garbage out, and we'll be collecting. So I think that was very revolutionary. What we did was not an easy process. This rollout was a lot of work for all the staff, but I'm very happy to say that as of now, the program is working very, very well. Does that bring our costs down? No, because again, the increase on the price continues to get higher and higher, but this was very proactive from the department to try to minimize even bigger increase on it. So as of now, we know exactly who we're serving, we know the cost of it, and that's what is the number that pretty much drives most of our operating costs under operations. Besides the solid waste, definitely utilities and our contractual obligations. The contractual obligations not only affect our wages and the meal, as you guys saw me on Monday for that transfer, but also a lot of our overtime. We need the overtime to be able to do the minimum work that the city requires. We are really working 7 days a week. We have to do work on some of our urban areas on early Saturday and early Sunday. So we do have people coming all the time. As of now, we have 71 full-time employees, and it is only from the 71 we have 3 vacancies as of now. We are not trying to add any headcount. Probably we would love as I mentioned, we would love to have another 50 so we can run a lot of things on 2 crews, but we know that is not realistic. So I think that the overtime, it is picking up some of this extra work that we've been doing, is stretching our crew. I think that overall, this is all that I have for operations. We are happy to go through any specific budget item that you guys have questions.
Questions on any elements of the operations budget?
Just Troy, just a quick question. With regard to the recycling, a question for you. we have a contract with a recycler. When I go to the dump, the trash and dump my own. We don't have garbage pickup here in Cranberry, but um, I'm just curious, what happens if somebody dumps a ton of recyclable bottles in and they don't go recycle in the 10 cents? Does that, Irvin, with the single stream recycler, do they fish those out and then they collect the 10 cents per bottle? Or do they give you back a credit to the city? I'm just curious how that would work.
So the way that our recycling contractor now works is let me just add one thing before, Mr. Jelleret. We are trying to really minimize the amount of garbage that we're collecting, either solid waste or garbage. So one thing that we are doing is we are maximizing options of other programs that the residents can bring their products to. So we have a pickup textile that you can call. We have mattress collection. We have the bulky waste, although bulky waste, we pay for it. We have pop-up for recycling where all the residents can come with their bottles, get the 10 cents, has been extremely popular. We're filling a food truck all pretty much every month. Now, everything that comes to recycle gets recycled, and as our contract, we get 80% of the revenue of the sales of that. So before, we used to have a big flat fee that I believe that was around 340. Yeah, about $350,000 a year. Now we only get 80% of this revenue index that is based on the cardboard price. Does that help? It does help. Of course, it's better than nothing, but now definitely recycling is a cost. One good thing is that the 10 cents a bottle is really encouraging a lot of people to bring to that program the bottle. So one thing that we are seeing, and then if you look at our numbers from recycling, that sometimes is dropping. On the areas that we serve, it's very common that on the day that we see the recycling bins out, there are some people that is going through the residential bins and they are picking up those bottles so they can recycle themselves. As of now, the talk in the industry is that recycling revenue may come back. I don't know now with everything that happened with the war this week, things may change now, but on the long term, they believe that market will start picking up again. Also, I just want to remind everybody that we do not charge for recycling. We do charge for garbage collection on the mill rate, but recycling was never charged for the residents. And we pick up recycling citywide. Maybe in the future is something that we'll need to talk again. For next year, as part of this whole plan, we may consider going garbage collection citywide for all the residents. And there will be a whole discussion about it that needs to be voted. And maybe there is an opportunity to maybe consider if we're going to start charging for recycling, if recycling now continues to be expense instead of revenue.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, because we don't have it up here. Where is this recycling for the residents can come in? Is it every day somewhere, or you said periodically for the recycling?
Yeah, it is once a month. We stop during the winter. It's called I Recycle. The next one is now in March. We used to do at 98 South Main Street parking lot, but now the recreation center will come there. We moved to Vets Park.
Okay, good. Good to know that. Okay, thank you.
Anything else on operations? Okay, shall we then? I'm sorry.
Yes, I have a couple questions on a few line items.
Please.
Can you call out the row number on the spreadsheet,
Yeah.
Kendrick, and then I'll go right to it?
Yeah, I'll start. So, row 39. So, learned that wages and salary premium is differentials, correct?
Yes, shift differentials.
So I noticed that this line item doubled from around 25K in previous years to 50. Just wanted to understand the spike behind there.
That's the way our big collection, it's whenever they're working outside of,
When we have the contract, right?
when our, we collection ourselves in-house, they do.
Oh, so they ended up getting these fees when we put them to do what we call like the premium time. So sometimes when, for instance, the leaf collection, we have to use our own guys to do it. That is, so then we use as premium. And again, as I stated before, Mr. Constant, everyday Public Works is requested to do 50 other things that that wasn't part of our everyday work. So when we have only pretty much from the 71 staff that I have, we have the administration part, but pretty much is 66 people that we have that is hitting the ground. And that's why sometimes based on the contract, they are allowed to receive that premium.
Yeah, I guess I don't quite understand why it jumps so much this year. Are there additional requests? Is it a contractual change that occurred?
It is a combination. We have more hours and also it's a new rate. Now we are paying 2.5 times of what we used to pay 1.5.
Okay.
On the new contract.
Yeah.
So it seems like additional requests are being called to do things out of scope. Would you say this is something that's as needed that you could request more from contingency in the future if it goes higher than normal?
We try to be very mindful of some of that time. One thing that we do not have too much control is on the regular overtime, particularly with snow, right? But when we get to a premium, we know exactly where we are, and we try not to go beyond, because before we accept doing something that would be a premium work, we check our budget to see where we are.
Predominantly our overtime is not scheduled overtime, it's weather related. And need based related, meaning someone goes over a pothole at 1 o'clock in the morning, the police are calling us and we're having someone go out and respond. As part of that response, the contractual obligation went from 3 hours of mandatory scheduled overtime for that call to 4 hours. So
Yeah, I understand that. It seems like, it's not every week someone's running over a pothole, so it's as needed,
very
Not
fluid.
right. But that fluid amount doubled, which is why I'm bringing it up. Um, the other line item, just wanted to understand, line 34 transferred to other funds.
Yes, Tom can answer that one.
Yeah, that's to pay for, so that's the sewer charges for city buildings. So you know how we all pay for, on our tax bills, we pay for the sewers. So we have all of our city buildings, and for City Hall and other buildings throughout the city, we have to pay for the sewers, for those as well. So that's where they come out of.
Is there a reason why it's not under sewage and the descriptions transfer to other funds?
No particular reason, just historically, that's where it's always been. I know that's a lousy answer, just that's the way it's always been, but it's the way it's always been.
Okay.
Maybe Tom, you could combine those lines. I think that's what Kendrick's probably saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of misleading. Is that right, Kendrick? I don't want to.
Yeah. I did. Yep. You're spot on.
You can
I mean,
definitely update these things, Tom.
yeah, it's simple, very, very simple to create a new account in our system.
Okay.
Tom, I notice you're having the same problem with your computer that I am, where you're getting that
Me
pop-up.
too, me too.
And it's
Yeah.
frustrating.
We're all
Once it
having
starts,
that.
it's contagious.
Drives me crazy every day.
We are not reviewing the IT department tonight.
That's Joyce's Monday. Let her have it.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right, anything else for operations then before we go to Rec and Parks? All right, then why don't we move to Rec and Parks?
Mr. Abrams, I just want to also say that there was engineering, we pretty much have a flat budget. The only thing that I want to call your attention is that I believe that the biggest item that we asked there, besides whatever, we pretty much kept the pro forma, is for our interns, that is wage and salary for temporary. I really beg you guys to fund that, because this is really our cheapest labor that we can find. We have a very nice program here with the summer internship. We usually hire about 5 engineering interns every year, and their rates is about $18 an hour. If they come back the following year, is $19, and we really put them to do a lot of work throughout the summer. It is critical. We really station them in most of our capital projects and kind of save us money on inspections and all that. So that's why I just, again, because I'm very transparent, I just want to make sure that you guys see that and understand that is like a good thing, add a lot of help to the department. So now moving to recreation and parks. Okay, so thank you, guys. I want to, before we start into the staffing, because I know the staffing is one of the questions, again, I want to that everybody understands that also there is a couple of things that affect a lot of their budget, besides, again, the utilities, as I mentioned before, but maintenance and the new contract had a huge impact on recs and parks. I want you guys to remember that we have the North High School under construction, and none of those fields are being used as of now. But all the sports are continuing to be played throughout the city in other fields. That is really adding a lot of extra maintenance in every single aspect to all the other fields that we're maintaining. So a field that sometimes were only used once or twice a day, sometimes we're having like even, or was only a couple of times a week. We now need to have that field ready for sometimes 3-4 games. And sometimes it's totally different games. We're like hosting lacrosse, right? And then after that, we have to host, I don't know, field hockey. What changed the striping of the field? What changes the maintenance? And also, now we're starting the spring with all the rain that we usually get, it adds a lot on the field itself. So maintenance of the field is really one of the big items that is really driving a lot of cost also under recreation and parks. Part-time employees is also crucial for recs and parks to run all the programs. Rob will tell more about how many staff we have. I'm going to let him go into that. But really, the part-time staff is really what help us run every single program. And then they start coming on board now during the spring. So we have people that help us with the maintenance, what is kind of limited because of our 2405 contract. We cannot do that much. But then, of course, during the summer, we have the counselors, the lifeguards. We have the umpires for the games. We have the gate people at the beach. We have the beach maintenance, cleaning people. So all those numbers kind of is also showing there. Before I get to staff, another thing that it is really driving the cost on the operating budget for recreation and parks is that we are opening the new recreation center. So what you're seeing there is that it is a brand new building. It is beautiful. We should have finished hopefully in next month. I am particularly concerned about the opening of it because I need to have enough staff and I need to have enough budget to be able to run a building, particularly that will be serving as a community and with focus on kids. So we're gonna see, we added a whole line for the maintenance of the recreation center, what we're expecting. And of course, that drives us to what is some of the new staff that we are requiring. We're gonna go over everything, but what we are requesting as of now is 3 full-time people. There was one thing that I know that sometimes the numbers may look a little bit weird now, that as if there was a major increase on the staff. I just want to point it out that we noticed back in November that the roster wasn't showing exactly what was approved on last year's budget. So 2 full-time employees was not showing on the original roster that we had. So that's why when you compare from last year to this year, there was even a major increase. One of them was the recreation center manager. That position was approved last year, but wasn't showing on the regional pro forma. And the other one was our arborist, that she was approved as of January 1st, and she was not showing on the original pro forma. I'm grateful for the staff and for finance. We'll work together back and forth to try to figure it out exactly where was some of those difference. It's nobody's fault. As you know, we had some people critical on some departments that left. So between personnel, some people left from finance, some people left from controller. And I think that's where kind of ended up the ball got dropped somewhere. But I just want to really emphasize that although the percentage may show very high, is because there was really the pro forma was misleading at the beginning. As of now, again, we are going through the new staff, but I'm going to pass to Rob so he can go over some of the major things that we are doing. Now, let me go to the good news about recreation and parks. Although we are asking for a lot of money, we are also projecting a lot of revenues this year. We do not have the number yet, but I'll tell you where we're going to end up coming with more money. So besides also all the programs that we're offering, that's why we're recreation and parks and not parks and recreation, is that we're really expanding on recreation. We have been extremely successful with our summer camp. It opened on Monday. By Tuesday, we already have over 250 kids enrolled. I didn't check today. Usually we get like a good number right on the first week, and then we are always full. With the recreation center opening, we're going to add a couple of more weeks of opportunities in August as well. So we believe that our whole summer camp will increase. But besides that, Gallagher Mansion is returning to full operations this year. So now we're going to be able to use that space, for weddings, parties and all that we didn't have in our revenue for two years, right? Mm-hmm. So that was out of 2 years. Right. We are expanding the Veterans Park docks. And for those that do not know, our docks were kind of pretty much falling apart. And we were lucky enough that we applied to this grant that we were 80% funded on $4 million project. We are having more slips, and we can accommodate a couple of bigger boats, and also we're going to have now place for jet skis. So that will be will generate a much bigger revenue, even more because the old docks, some of them were in such a bad shape that we were not even allowed to lease those spaces. So we're going to see some money coming out of it. And the Broad River baseball field that we're supposed to advertise this project hopefully this year, hopefully now in the spring. We're just doing some adjustment on the drainage because of the type of field that had to be changed. It will be a year project, but we believe that it's still until the end of this fiscal year, we're gonna have that fields open, and that will be used for tournaments, so that we're gonna be able to really get some revenue from the rent of that facility. So I think that I already talked too much. I'll let Robin can take from here.
Well, before we go to
Yeah.
Robert, the one thing I will say is, as an open item, I want to see those revenue projections before we get through the end of this, please. I understand you're still working on them, but they will be a critical offset to some of this that we need to understand as a board.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Also, one more point before you start, Robert, excuse me. Vanessa, you mentioned in your opening statements just now about maintenance on the fields for various events. And Robert, you could explain to me why we need maintenance on most of the fields, if I'm not mistaken, are artificial turf. What kind of maintenance do you need, and what changeovers do you need, which would you're saying is a driver in this? So please let us know.
I will let you know that. Well, thank you for allowing us to present tonight. I know this is this particular presentation. There's a lot to it, a lot of meat to it, and I really thank Vanessa and DPW and operations for keeping their requests kind of low so that we could come and tell you what our real needs are. In fiscal year 27, we plan to continue to expand our outdoor and indoor recreation programs, our field sports, park maintenance, and continue implementation of the adopted recreation and parks master plan. Also, this budget will fund additional staff, equipment, supplies for the recreation program and the recreation community recreation center. Also, Vanessa talked about the Broad River baseball complex as well. So generally, we want to continue to give good service, expand our services, and create new opportunities for recreation for the citizens of Norwalk. Our head count is 37 full-time employees, 28 are from grounds and facilities maintenance, and 9 are recreation professionals. We also have a whole host of, as Vanessa talked about, part-time staff. And during the year and also the summer seasons and the peak seasons, we expand to over 200 part-time staff. And that's all through the year, different times, but in total. So that's kind of our head count. In our budget, you'll see that we have 232 line items, and 5 have decreased and 35 have increased. Of the 35, 8 were for the new recreation center, 12 are utility accounts. And the utility accounts are budgeted at our billing, actual billing rate that we receive, plus an additional 3%, anticipating future growth in those rates. There are 9 also were for wage and salaries, totaling $908,807. Utilities increases total $123,400, and the rec center totals are $425,985. So that explains kind of our increases in terms of just a summary. As you know, we have requested 3 positions, and those positions are a labor maintenance 2 labor, which we need. Vanessa explained the situation with our fields and our maintenance and keeping up our fields and also our facilities. And as we're growing, because of the needs of the residents. We've opened a year ago or 2 years ago, we opened another crew headquarters at Tito Court. So we've been working on that and renovating that, but also expanding our facilities crews. We have the complex that we're building at Broad River that we will be building. So we'll need a specialist in terms of a sports field maintenance specialist to make sure that that expensive field, $8 million plus field, is maintained and we keep our investment. We're also going to use that person because of their expertise, and we're looking for someone with that professional sports field expertise to also supervise and train our ball field crews. Also, for the recreation center, as Vanessa indicated, we did have a rec center manager in last year's fiscal year's budget. We want to, because of the 7-day operation, really a 6-day operation, and on the 7th day, we plan on renting out or making that facility available for rentals. We need another supervisor level staff to overlap the recreation center manager because of the time they have to overlap. They can only work so many hours a week. Also, we are asking for part-time money, enough part-time budget to bring on 2 or 3 other part-time people to work in the center. So it's very important to be successful. Also, this center will, Vanessa indicated some of the new revenue that is coming on board. She mentioned the Gallagher Mansion. She mentioned the marina, that's a marina. And also the rec center, once we get it up and going, will be a place where we will also generate revenue through rentals, through some of the fee-based programs. So we are working on those the revenues, and we will have them for you, Ed. We'll get those to you as soon as we can. Troy, in answer to your question about fields, most of our fields are not synthetic. We have a lot of grass fields. We do have a lot of synthetic fields, but we have grass fields, and to maintain the grass fields is very expensive. But also we have to maintain the synthetic fields as well, because they only have a lifespan if you don't maintain them of 7 to 9 years. So if we maintain them properly, and we have been, because some of our fields are past that now, they can actually, you can stretch that the life cycle from 12 to 15 years. So we do have machinery that cleans those fields and puts down more of the ground, the chrome rubber to keep the fields in shape. And we also, from time to time, we're there patching the fields and sewing up the fields. And so it does take a lot to maintain those fields as well.
Thank you for that. But you're telling me that you need a person to sit at West Rocks Field in the back, the synthetic field with the lights. And if they're having 3 soccer games or lacrosse games that day, somebody has to come in and do what? You said maintenance. I was hearing Vanessa saying something about prepare or maintenance in between those events. What will they be doing? My son plays soccer. I mean, I've been in these fields, all these fields. I've never seen that machine you're talking about, though. But go ahead.
I'm sorry, I wasn't talking specific about West Rocks. I was talking more about when with the grass fields and when we need to restripe some of the fields that we have to do. But again, I'll let them kind of answer.
Yeah, and
So-
how many synthetic fields do we have? Seems like we have a lot now, right, Robert? I
We
mean,
have, so we have, hey Troy, this is Ken, how you doing?
Good.
So
And
6 synthetic fields, and we have 36 natural grass and clay fields. So what Vanessa was referencing, Veterans Park, for example, you know, we have soccer at Veterans Park, we have baseball, and we have the ability to have lacrosse as well. So
Right.
depending on the usage, our staff has to line the field accordingly. So one weekend it might be soccer fields, and the following weekend we might have to reline the lacrosse fields. So I think that's what Vanessa was referencing in terms of prepping the fields for different sports.
but the
Yeah.
synthetic fields are pretty self-sufficient, right? I mean, that's why we get them, right?
Yeah, I think twice a month you should be on the synthetic fields, running the groomer over the fields. But they're a lot less maintenance than natural grass and clay. And that's why this department has asked for them, you know, moving forward.
And the
And
new field, I'm sorry if I missed
unfortunately-
it, but the new field is going to be the one on in New Canaan Avenue is going to be synthetic, right? Is that this complex?
No, natural
No,
grass and
change.
clay.
It'll be
Yeah.
natural grass.
It'd be
Yes.
grass.
So
Ooh.
that is this is the impact on our budget, Troy. Originally, we're gonna go with a turf field on that, but you know, after bringing up to the public and all that, there were a lot of concerns. We actually propose a hybrid model for that.
Right.
Got shut off. That's why we haven't even started that project, because we went back to the drawing board, because now we have to redo the whole drainage. As of now, we do understand that there are a lot of concerns related to turf fields. That we have been like, of course, we try to educate, you know, we use like what is the best standards, the safety standards for the industry on that. But as of now, we understand that the Norwalk community is more in support of the grass fields. And that's why what we're okay for us, you know, but we have to be transparent of what the level of service that we can provide. So if we're gonna continue adding grass fields and not turf fields, it's okay. But that adds to our operating budget. We need more staff. We need a specialized person that will be able to take care of that grass field better than what just our regular labor can do. That's pretty much one of the requests that we're putting in this budget. So that really triggers a lot of that. Also, our fields have been more used than before since we discommissioned all the fields on the high school. And again, what is great, we are really like doing a lot of improvements in our school facilities. But usually when we're doing the schools, we're also doing the fields. So we have to do something else with the fields that we have. If you come to City Hall, you will see that our track and field and the baseball field, we have a lot of people that practice here. We have staff every morning here really making it ready for the practice, because the high school is practicing.
Yeah, Vanessa, I understand on the grass fields. Absolutely. I was concentrating more on the synthetic fields, and I like the chairman, Ed. I look forward to seeing the revenue numbers. Thank you.
So Robert, Vanessa, what's the net headcount add you're asking for here?
The net head count is 3.
Three.
3 net new?
Yeah, 3 net new.
Three
But again,
full time.
3 full.
Yeah, 3 full-time net
Right.
new.
And then in terms of all of your part-time, summer, et cetera, those numbers are comparable to headcount we've had in past years?
Yes. They're increasing because they have increased, but they're comparable.
With the exception of the recreation center.
Yeah.
Right, so I would say
Yeah.
besides another 2-3 people that we are considering that we're gonna be allocated to the recreation center, pretty much is almost the same amount of people that we are over 200 people on a part-time.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, as Vanessa alluded to in the beginning of the meeting, a lot of these increases in our part-timer counts are due to the fact that we didn't see the carryovers this year. So if you look at what we're asking for, that's the actual true number. And if you look in the past budgets, if you match the carryovers that we did accept, it'll match what we're asking for now. So, you know, we are missing the carryovers as of July 1.
Okay. I appreciate that, and thank you for reminding me of that and the rest of the board of that. I'll be honest. I look at this budget and I am concerned. I understand all of the capability that we want to provide to the citizens of Norwalk. But the number is very large. Again, part of it will be seeing a revenue offset to help understand that and help to mitigate that. But I would ask you to, in addition to the overall request of looking at a 10% reduction in the impacts there, I need you to personally, I need you to scrub these numbers harder. It just feels, I appreciate everything you've said. I am not going to go line by line, but I am confident that there are savings that can be had within this budget without impacting the level of service to the community. And I would ask you to please relook at this budget from that perspective, in addition to the overall reduction challenge we're giving to every department. So I would like to leave Rex and Park as an open item until you take one more pass through this budget and until we can get a view of revenue, please.
Okay, I'd like to say a few more things though, Ed. When we look at our maintenance staff, when we look at our Parks and Recreation staff, when we compare it to other peer cities, we have 28 maintenance staff, whereas in a peer city our size there would be 51. And I understand in the past we have been a lot higher. So, you know, we're trying to do a job where it calls for resources. And I appreciate, you know, that you have a job to do. And I appreciate budget cuts. And we will look at a 10% scenario. And we will go back and look at these numbers. But I want you to realize that we are in a growing city with people coming and needing recreation, needing services, and you know, so it's going to take resources.
I appreciate that, Robert. I really do. But this is one of those years where we have to look very hard at the must-haves versus the nice-to-haves.
Yeah, and I completely understand that. I've been in situations like this throughout my career, and
Probably more so than I have, but you get it.
Yeah.
Tom, one more thing. Tom, can you go to the bottom line? What is their total number increase? Just want to re-emphasize what it was, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, where'd it go? Oh,
Tom scrolled too far. Give him a second.
oh. Okay, so the bottom line is 26.8%. Is that correct? Am I saying that correctly?
With just the caveat that two of the full-time positions were supposed to be carried over in the budget and they were not. So you have to subtract about 2.25 from that number.
So that is not really
So
a true
percentage
number.
would go to 23%? Would that be?
Well, if you
Anyway,
take
the
out
point
the
is, listen, the point is, Ed made the point very clear. Unless your revenue, based on what you just said, Robert, I grow, you know, I'm expecting now to see revenue off the charts. And if that's the case, you might have a better argument. But the way things are right now, this one jumps right off the page. So
keep in mind also close to $500,000 will go toward a new rec center, new program.
So 10% is already there.
Yeah.
You know, 10% is already because we're adding a new building.
5% is contract.
Right, and 5% is contract. So unfortunately, you know, and we understand the number is high, and that's why on the other divisions, we try to hold, because I'll be honest, I still need more labor on operations. We need more engineers here, you know, and not only that, we need more salt, we need more this and more that. But we do understand that we try to focus under the divisions. We really try to focus this year more on the request under the recreation and parks And we believe that, we just need to go over this edge and then we'll be good. Also, one thing that I want to share is that, as you all know, my background is civil engineering, right? So I'm always the concrete person. I love to build things and all that. And then I start also overseeing recreation and parks when I got into this new role. And usually, so I have the opportunity to go to some national conferences, so then we'll know exactly what we're doing good and bad and all that. And all the time that I used to go to all the other conference, I was always very happy on the way that Norwalk was in comparison with all the other cities, right? We're right there. Then I went to the first parks conference about 3 years ago. And I remember that I came back and I said, wow, we are so behind. And, and I think that one thing is that we're lucky that we have Rob, we have Ken, and that's what we're trying to do now. We're just trying to be not more, but trying to make us like equivalent to some of the other cities about our size and what they have been doing for parks. An investment in parks, it is really an investment in the community, in the health of the kids, in the well-being of the seniors as well. And, and I hear that all the time that I go to these places, and it's true. Like the rec center, the main goal of the rec center is try to get some of the kids that are doing absolutely nothing, to go play basketball in a brand new court that we're building, is to offer more programs for the seniors, like a cooking class and all that. And we all know if you're busy, doing something that is good, like going to a walk on the park, trying something new, keep you and everybody out of trouble. And I believe that we are there. We have the mentality already to be there. I know that the administration and with your support, that's what everybody wants. Unfortunately, definitely there is a cost associated to it. We're going to go back, we're going to look, we're going to see if there's something that we can definitely cut off. But we are really trying to, again, do what we can do with the minimum. That's pretty much what we are trying to do. And I really appreciate all the feedback.
And again, I on behalf of the board, Vanessa, I understand what you're trying to do. I applaud what you're trying to do. It is just for this year and next at a minimum, given some of the other challenges that we're facing expense-wise as a city, it's a balance point. Madam Mayor.
Yeah, one comment and one question. Comment just to add to what Vanessa is saying about the importance of activities and recreation for our kids and our families. I was after I was elected, I was invited to the Bloomberg new mayor's program at Harvard, which was a pretty incredible opportunity. And the mayor of Baltimore was on a panel and spoke about public safety and how he turned around the incredible crime rate. We all know what the crime rate was in Baltimore and how he turned that around. And one of the ways he did that was to invest in parks and activities and recreation for kids, and really stressed how important that is to the public safety of our community. So I just wanted to add that. And then my question is, without these positions, can you open the recreation center?
We cannot open the recreation center with not a full-time person.
Thank you.
It is a very nice big building. We're gonna have the kids there, and they have to be safe.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable on opening it.
Yeah, we'll need that second position and we'll need the part-time money. Because it's a place where we have to keep the kids safe. And we have to keep them active, but we have to keep them safe.
Understood. But again, balance, and let's look at what the revenue offset is. Any additional questions or comments?
I would just like to comment that we need to think about it holistically. So, Mr. Daniels, you have a number of departments underneath you. And so you have to just think about it holistically to get to that 10% number everywhere.
Fair point, Ms. Yang. Very fair point. And I know, Vanessa, you've started to do that in how you planned your budget in total. That's the creativity we're continuing to look for you to lean into. Okay. With that, any other questions or comments this evening? Seeing none, may I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
you.
Kendrick.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice
Yeah.
evening,
Night.
and the
So
BET
moved,
members will
Ed.
see you on Monday.
Yeah.
Thanks. Have a good
Good
weekend.
night.
Thanks.